morning, Dana. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Rabeea. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. So just to give a little bit of context, I'm going to start off by explaining a bit about how Daniel and I know each other. Because, of course, we're sitting next to each other, so we must know each other. And then we will get into getting to know Daniel and the work that we do. So a bit about me and Daniel. We met in 2020?
2020.
2020,
August.
yes. August 2020, it was COVID. I remember I wasn't hired back after my articling, and I had messaged Daniel on LinkedIn. And
Wasn't hired back by someone else. You weren't working.
Yeah. I wasn't hired back at the articling place that I was there, and then I messaged Daniel on LinkedIn, and then we connected, and then we ended up working together, and it's been 4.5 years.
Really good cup of coffee that day too. I
Yeah.
remember sitting out on a balcony, or sorry, in front of a coffee place. It was like the first coffee I had out.
During that time, yeah, I remember us
probably
wearing masks.
like 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to wear masks going in, and then
no handshakes.
Yeah, that's right. We were sitting at a table. We were about 6 feet apart. It was sufficiently awkward, and somehow we decided that we wanted to work together.
Yeah. So, so it's been good. So we've been working together for many, many years now. So I wanted to ask Dana some questions so you can get to know him a little bit more. Dana has over 10 years of experience in Canadian immigration. And so let's just dive into the questions. Question is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into immigration?
So I graduated from law school after taking a number of courses in international law, and I was actually really interested in international law, but there weren't a lot of opportunities for me to practice in that field in Toronto, and I really wanted to be in Toronto. I met my now wife then, and she was going to be going to school, finishing up her studies here in Toronto, and I started looking for positions. Very quickly ruled out positions in government, positions with public policy or not-for-profit organizations, because I wouldn't be able to article to do those a lot of those jobs. And I started to connect with a number of immigration lawyers in the Toronto area, going out for coffee, going out for lunches, really networking as much as I could. And I applied for a job with a firm, came across a wonderful opportunity, and it was with a business immigration law firm doing corporate type of business immigration work, so work permits, permanent residency for skilled workers, entrepreneurs, etc. I had a wonderful opportunity to article with my articling principal, and it's been immigration ever since.
Amazing. Does it feel like it's been 10 years? Or more than 10 years?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
You know what? In some ways, yes, because now I'm starting to see shifts and changes in immigration law, immigration policy that resemble what it was like when I first started out in immigration. So I've seen the pendulum swing from one direction to another. Now it's swinging back. So in some respects, yeah, it does kind of feel or seem like we're going to a different era that there used to be when I first started. And in that respect, yeah, time has passed and it does feel like 10 years. And in other ways, no, not at all. Like I can't believe that I've been working out more than 10 years actually.
Oh, wow.
I started articling in 2012. It's now 2025. So
wow,
it's been over 12 years now in immigration.
Yeah, that's amazing. As the rules of immigration have been changing and we're seeing a lot of different things in 2025, I wanted to ask you, like, if you had to explain Canadian immigration right now to a child in like 30 seconds, what would you say?
That's kind of easy for me. I have 3 children,
okay.
so they're always asking, Daddy, what do you do? So I help people to come to Canada or the United States. As you know, we do both.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to explain to a child, but it depends on the age of the child. So younger child, maybe it's a very simple explanation. A little bit older, you can give a little bit more information. But it principally starts with that. I help people to come to Canada. When they get a little bit older, ask why do they need help? And then you have to explain concepts like borders. So I have 3 boys. They like to build forts. And so I said, well, imagine you were the gatekeeper of that fort and no one could come in without your permission. And you wanted people to come in and you wanted it to be fair to let your friends into the fort, but they all had to have the same rules. So you would say, you can come into my fort, but you have to bring me 3 pieces of Lego in order to come into my fort. and I help clients find that Lego to come into the fort, so that way they can come in. And I try to explain that's how countries work. If they're still paying attention, 30 seconds, to be honest with you, is way too much time.
Have you actually tried explaining to them?
Yeah, they understand.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on their age and their level of understanding, but yeah, they get it.
So one more question. So if I ask you that if Canadian immigration was a TV show, what would it be called?
Yeah.
I actually have one in mind, but I'm gonna have you answer this first.
It's an easy one for me.
Okay.
It wouldn't be a TV show, actually. It would be sort of like a movie and book. Alice in Wonderland.
Oh wow!
No.
Why do you say that?
The rules of immigration have, like in the world of immigration, is not like the real world. It's constantly changing. Up can be down, left can be right. And you can find yourself falling very quickly down a rabbit hole into a vortex of something. And you don't really know where you're going to end up. And unfortunately, that could be the experience for a lot of clients. They think they're heading in one direction. They've got a plan in place. And then all the laws of physics change on you in this universe. So you have to be prepared for that bumpy ride. At the same time, there is a way to navigate through this. There's a maze, and you just need someone to lead you through to get through Wonderland, to get out of it. And that's sort of what an immigration lawyer does.
Yeah. I think that my analogy would be very similar to yours, but I would say, I don't know if do you watch reality TV?
Sure.
Have you seen Love is Blind?
Go for it. Tell me your analogy.
No, Love is Blind is like this chaotic show where like there's a lot of drama and things change like every minute. It's like a show where you find love, and that's why it's called Love is Blind. So my analogy is pretty similar. I feel like I started practicing during COVID, and since then I've seen like things changing, like you said, up and down, right and left, or like it's just one thing after the other. So that show has a lot of drama in it, and I also think immigration can have some sort of
a lot of drama.
in it. Yeah.
It's affecting people's lives, so we have to talk about the rule changes, but the rule changes obviously affect individual people, and that's what's the heart-wrenching part of the experience. So I get the analogy. Yeah.
I also want to understand a bit about what you do, and like what is your day like as an immigration lawyer. Like just very if someone's watching, they want to know like day to day, like what do you do and what are some of the challenges?
Principally, it's about helping people. So I really like that aspect of the job. I'm meeting people from different backgrounds, different experiences, different goals, different desires, and they come to me with their facts, which represents to me a puzzle. How can I solve this puzzle in order to help them create what they're looking for? And it does change a lot. So sometimes we start out with a picture in mind, and we're trying to assemble all the pieces, but then once you put it together, the puzzle looks a little bit different than what you were really expecting it to look like at the end of the day. But lots of challenges, and I really like that aspect of the job, coming into the office every day, starting out my day, and really not knowing what to expect, because every single fact pattern, every single person has their own story. It's very individualized, and while we can use similar tools of immigration and apply the same knowledge, the solution is different every single time.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I also think that in immigration, it's a lot about helping people, and it's also like different situations, like for example, helping people stay, or like reuniting family members, or like reuniting like spouses. So I also agree with that answer. And then is there something that you wish people asked more about immigration? Like, for example, clients, or like from your experience, like, would you say that like you wish that people asked that question more?
Not really, because I have an expectation now that my clients don't possess a lot of information about how immigration actually is. I think you have to learn to suspend your belief as to how the world should work in order to understand how immigration actually does work. So it's not so much about asking the right questions. It's about coming in with the right frame of mind. I wish clients would come to me and be open books a little bit. Sometimes they have an impression of how they think the world should work, or somebody told them it should work in a particular way. A friend said this, or they met with some foreign visa agent consultant who sold them on an idea that immigration works in a particular way. And so, it's very useful when a client comes and says, I've heard a lot of things. I want to hear your perspective. Tell me what it is. And quite rightly, I think they should hear lots of different perspectives, and decide based on the information that they're getting what appears to be accurate information and accurate advice.
Yeah, I also think that a lot of people now find information in Facebook groups or like WhatsApp groups.
Reddit. I have clients coming to me with
that I read this somewhere.
All sorts of different social media forums that they get information, and it's important to remember that you can gain some information online, but you don't know that what you're reading is necessarily accurate. It's kind of like WebMD. I have clients who come to me and they said, "Oh, I went and I checked with ChatGPT and it says that these are my solutions," right? I mean, if you go into a doctor's office and said, that information, and your doctor says, "Well, actually, what your problem here is that you have, a malignant cancer and we need to operate on it, and these vitamins aren't going to help that situation." So, I don't want to be condescending to clients, but sometimes they come with proposals that suggest the world is a different world than the world that we actually existed in the immigration world. And that's not their fault. It's just that they've been exposed to information in ways of doing things and may not realize how technical it can be.
Yeah. When I started immigration, I think that over the years, I've realized how difficult it is and how, there's a lot of attention to detail and there are, technical things that you need to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that information, then you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
That's right. And the most minor of differences can end up with significant consequences that cascade down the road. I mean, so you really can't take somebody else's fact pattern and say, my friend or somebody else did it this way, and so I want to do it that way too. Will this work for me?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll work, but really you need an expert who can say, yeah, that's the right pathway. Because you may not even notice the subtle differences between your fact pattern and your friends.
Yeah. Starting their immigration journey, what is the best way to start? Because I find that sometimes people move and then they don't really plan much and then they're in a situation where now they're kind of stuck. So what would you say is the best way to sort of start this process?
Well, I encourage all my clients to visit the country first. If they're not coming over for a work opportunity that they can't pass up, or to study, I think it's very important to visit the country that you're going to live in. If you really do think that this is a place that you want to spend the rest of your life, you may have an idealized version or picture of what life was like in Canada or the United States. So it's really important that you come and visit if you can, spend some time and get to know the places that you're moving to. And then once you have decided, I really want to move there, understand that decision is beyond your control. There's only so much that you can do, and you have to be willing to almost blow with the winds. You want to sail across the ocean, that's great, but if the winds are blowing hard in the opposite direction, or your sail's just not designed for the journey, you're not going to get across the ocean. So I think it's important to have that mentality, have that flexibility in mind, and understand that immigration really isn't for everybody.
Oh, just to end this up, I did have a fun question for you. If you were to grant permanent residency to a fictional character, who would it be and why?
Oh, okay. I honestly, I think Yoda from Star Wars. We need to bring balance to the Force. I really want some changes to occur to immigration, and you need somebody to guide other people here to really help them settle. But Yoda, come bring balance to the Force. I know I could say Luke Skywalker or but really I think that's.
I think Yoda's a good answer. I think I would say, I don't know if did you watch Captain Planet growing up?
No. Tell me more. What's about?
Yeah. Okay. So Captain Planet is this person who saves the world, and they have these colorful rings. And so I think I would grant permanent residency to Captain Planet because he's sort of saving the world with those rings.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Daniel, for taking the time and just sort of introducing yourselves. And thank you for watching, and you'll see more of us and hope to see you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Morning, Daniel. How are you doing?
Can we start over? I wasn't even looking at that.
Okay. You can look anywhere. Okay. Thank you, Daniel, for taking out the time.
Start over, because I wasn't even looking at that.
This is why.